there was like nothing. There was no output from either of these fighters. Like,
I think the fight card was all right. I think there's a lot of finishes in there, obviously. I think the other fights other than the main event were all right to watch. I think the main event was just so boring. I was like, man, is this over yet? Like, it was boring to me. I preferred the other fights on the main card before the main event.
and it's a real shame, it's a real shame. I mean, we're going to break all this action down. First, I want to remind everybody we are live on YouTube. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel, Combat Misfits. Hit the bell for all notifications so you're notified when we go live twice a week, Wednesdays at 6, Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're also on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. You can find us pretty much anywhere that you get your social media content from. Please go like and follow our pages. So, yes, I mean, it was a lackluster main event. There was some, like you said, a lot of finishes on the undercard, a lot of, they were close matchups, so, I mean, we knew this going into this, that none of these fights were probably going to be one-sided of any matter.
Right.
But I mean, it's just a shame that like the main event didn't live up to all the hype. Magomed gets the decision win, and let's be real. I mean, he'll move up the ladder. I don't know where he goes from this. What are your thoughts, Chris?
Sorry about that. I think what's gonna happen. He probably will fight who's like 4. You think in the light heavyweight division? It's 4 would be. It's not obviously. It's not Santos. Obviously. I'm trying to think.
Anthony Smith is number 4.
Yeah, but he has a fight coming up too, doesn't he? Anthony Smith. He has a fight coming up.
I think he does. I see him possibly fighting Alexander Rakic. He's number 3.
Right.
I mean, that's the way to move
I
up.
think then that's what would happen with Goliath would be that he would fight the winner of probably the winner of Anthony Smith. And, what was the other one's name?
Alexander Rakic.
Rocket, right. So that's why I see that would happen, is that he would fight one of them two. Santos is probably going to drop further back, so he's going to fight maybe a number 7 or number 8 guy and try to get a win streak going to move himself back in the rankings and talk about a title shot on that behalf. But Santos is just going backwards at this point. Like, I don't know. He needs a redemption or take some time and work on his wrestling and not to gas himself out and throw power punches nonstop, because I think that's what killed him, is because he threw some power punches early on and he just drained them. I was like, you're done. I can already see you're done. He's gasping between rounds. I think that was a big whoops, just throwing too many haymakers.
And you'd have to think, like, how much is left of Thiago Santos' career? I mean, he's 38. Now he falls down the ladder. And, I mean, it's going to be hard for him to bounce back from this. I mean, he obviously didn't drop his gloves in the middle of the octagon last night, so he wants to continue, as of right now, continue fighting. But it's got to be hard to see yourself in title contention, after the fact that you've taken a significant loss over number 6 rank. I mean, you have to think that Magomed is going to climb the rankings, overpass him when the rankings come out on Monday, and I mean, look, there's not much to talk about with this main event, unfortunately. I mean, Magomed did what he had to do. In my opinion, these Dagestanian fighters, they're
different.
In my opinion, they're boring. They're so dominant that it's like it becomes like a question like, what? I mean, this guy was different than most of them. Like, Islam will grind on you. Habib used to grind on you and wear you out. Where this guy Magomed on Goliath, I mean, he's standing. He stood with a power puncher. I mean, you got to give him credit there. He's not trying to take and enforce that, Dagestanian power that all these guys have. I mean,
Yeah. Good
it's
morning, Joshua. Good morning, chat. I appreciate you guys for checking in to Combat Misfits, and I hope you guys are enjoying your time here.
yes. Good morning. Thank you for commenting into the chat. Give us your thoughts on this, fight
It's
card.
hard. Yeah.
I mean, let us know what you're thinking. I mean, we much appreciate it. So, I mean, yeah, that's the main event. I mean, the strikes thrown were not significant. Like there was a not as much output as I had expected, and I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we'll have to find out where Magomed stands in the rankings come Monday, and
Oh yeah, of course.
who he fights next. So, in the co-main event, Song Yadong versus
Yo.
Marlon Moraes, man. I mean,
And what did I say? I called that. I said Morales is on a downward spiral in his career. He got worked in what, a minute.
he got,
Like, he got worked in a minute. Like he had like I said previous, right? Is that he came off so hot when he entered the UFC. He came in so hot. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's gonna be the next best thing." That hype train went too quick, too fast for his own good. He went too quick, and now he's like getting worked by everybody in that division. Now, I think that's the fear of Hazmat Chimaev that I have, is that his hype train's so high right now. They're pushing him so fast. What happens if he gets derailed so bad, and then his career is just trashed like Morales is right now? Because Morales, he can't even buy a win. I don't even know his last win.
his last win, I think, was against Jose Aldo back in 2020. I mean,
Come on.
he has been finished now his last 4 fights. His last 4 fights, he's been finished, and some of them were vicious. Some of them were.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's like I see him. I see him getting cut. I do. I see more.
Oh, for sure. I
There,
don't know. Do you think that's too early to cut him, even though he's fought and got finished 4 times? I don't know. I think they give him one more fight. I think they're gonna give him one more fight, and then maybe if he loses again, they'll cut him. I think it's just too early to say to cut him.
I would say, like, if these were close fights, right? If these were close,
True.
I would say yes. Okay, don't cut him. Give him a chance.
Right.
It's hard to give him a chance, man, when he's lost like viciously the last 4 fights. Like it's not like he's not taking damage these last 4 fights. He's taking some significant damages. Like I mean, it's just ridiculous. He got finished by Marab the Zvili. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. He got finished by him, and that was in the second round. So it's not even like he's making it in the majority of these fights. He got finished by Rob Font. I mean, in the first round.
Yeah, Rob Font tore him up. Yeah, Rob Font killed him.
Corey Sandhagen in the second round. It's not like he's taking this majority of the fight. And
well, too, we have to put it in perspective too. He's fighting top fighters too. Corey Sandhagen's like number 3 or 4. Rob Font's up there too. Like he's not losing to like top 10, like number 10 or number 12 or anything like that. But he's fighting lower guys and getting worked. It could hurt his stock. But to say he's gonna get cut, I think that's too fast. I don't see it. I don't think he's gonna get cut. Too fast.
I mean, look, the bantamweight division is full of dogs, man. Like they're
yeah.
And I mean, who you gonna give him? I don't really see. Looking at the rankings right now, Marlon Moraes coming off of a 4-fight losing streak now, and it's just like I don't know. I mean, nobody's going to want to take the fight with him because they really have nothing to gain, in that aspect. Like if you were a number, like say, if you were Dominic Cruz, he's sitting at 7, beneath Marlon Moraes, like Marlon Rice is number 10 in the division right now. I mean,
Mhm.
none of these guys below the top 10 are going to want to take this fight with him, knowing they have really nothing to gain.
Yeah,
So it's like, and UFC just let go of Greg Hardy. And Greg Hardy
thank God. He deserved it.
didn't have the best run either. He came in high
Mhm.
prospect, with high intentions. The UFC had high intentions in this dude, and they let him go. I don't know how many fights left on Marlon Moraes' contract. So,
Yeah, I don't know.
Greg Hardy was let go because it was the end of his contract, and they weren't re-signing him. They weren't.
And he was trash. He didn't have no sense of winning streak, nothing. Like the thing, like how we talked about it off air, is that you're an athlete, and in the NFL, you have no cardio. You have no sense of cardio. Yeah, you're athletic. You have athleticism because of your track record. You're not a fighter. You can hit hard because you're so big and you're used to be in the NFL. You're not a fighter though.
Yeah, it's just I mean, where does this leave Marlon Moraes' career though? I mean, you think he should stay in the UFC? I think he should go. If he gets cut, I think he should go to EFC. I think he should go to
Well, I
Habib.
think that's where he was just taking anyone and anyone at this point.
He's trying to build it, man. And he's doing a phenomenal job over there. I mean, he is bringing some top talent over there. I mean,
Their press conferences are a little nuts. They're just throwing bombs at press conferences, though.
yeah,
Like, that's wild. They're wild over there.
they are wild. I mean, Habib is, he's trying to get this promotion together. I mean, he is no Dana White. Let's be real,
It's
but
funny, though, like, talking about that press conferences and stuff. Like, there's always a brawl at their press conferences. But when Kahib is there, nobody brawls. It's weird. It's so weird. Like if any other schmo is there doing the weigh-ins and all that, there's a brawl. But when Kahib's there, everyone's on their best behavior. I think they have like a lot of respect for Kahib. And it's like, yeah, I ain't doing that in front of him, man. No way.
yeah,
Unless Kahib has his boys right there ready to throw hands. If you guys try to act up and you touch Kahib, then everyone's gonna just brawl out.
yeah.
So I don't know. It's pretty crazy though.
I think that's where I see him going. I mean, he's doing a lot of big things over there. He just put in that 165-pound division. That's significant.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fighters right now, if I can touch on this real quick, a lot of fighters right now, they're in between the 155 and 170, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a significant cut, it's a 15-pound
It
cut.
is.
So if
Yeah.
you can create a division like that that's somewhat in the middle where, the
Mhm.
can fight technically the 155s and meet in the middle pretty much. I think that's a pretty big move on Habib's part. So
Yeah, I think he wants to do something new, like make it easier for the fighters to make weight. Because I think he understands the weight cut is brutal. Because he's done it. He's like, yo, I don't like doing all this weight cut. This is brutal. It's mentally exhausting. It weakens my muscles. It's all kinds of shit happens with that. So I think he understands the cutting, so he can make his own division, I guess. Because did he name that division? What is that going to be? Middleweight?
it's just a 165-pound division as of right now. It's just called a 165-pound. I don't know. I mean, he's doing a lot of different things that Dana White didn't want to do. And I applaud him for it. It could take him far. Who knows? I mean, I dig it because the content's free. You just
Did they release the pay though? Did they release the payment they
of
get?
of what the fighters pay, or
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. I mean, they don't. They. I feel like Habib. The events are free. So I don't know how much money they're really making. A lot of them, like even Kevin Lee, came out and said, "Look, I'm making more money over here at Eagle FC than I am at when I was in the UFC." And
And that's what I'm saying. Like I wonder what the cut is. There has to be a significant pay cut for them to get an extraordinary amount of money to be happy with. And it with Kevin Lee coming out and saying that about Eagle, that helps Eagle a lot because if they're getting paid hefty, UFC guys are like, "Yo, I'm out here doing this and doing that, and I'm not getting paid. Why don't I go to the Eagle and get paid crazy good money?"
yeah, I mean,
That's what I think.
You know, Habib swears it's not competition, and he's learning from Dana. You know, he's been learning from Dana,
Of
so
course.
it's impressive. You know, it is impressive stuff. You know, and it's got my eyes, watching his promotion. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, in my opinion, I see Song Yadong now catapulting up into the division. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, he's sitting at number 14. You know, I see him reaching into the top 10. I think if he was smart, I don't know where Dominic Cruz is sitting right now. He's number 7, but he just fought in December. He fights whenever he really wants to. I don't really know how active he's going to be. I think he
Son
could.
Yudong fighting. Are you saying like Son Yudong fights Dominic Cruz next? Is that where you're leading towards?
I mean, I just don't know how often Dominic Cruz is going. That's a significant.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big name, former
It
chief.
is a huge name. Huge name.
So it's a way to really catapult him up the division, you know, and that's before getting into the top 5. Like he could fight a Rob Font, he could fight a Corey Sandhagen. I don't know if he's ready for those guys yet.
Well, they're too low, aren't they? Corey Sanger's like what, 3 or 4?
It's Sandhagen's
5.
Yeah, Sandhagen's 4, Jose Aldo's 3. I mean, when you start getting to that, I don't know if, like you said, you don't want his hype train
No.
to end that quick, I don't know.
No, I think Dominic Cruz might be a better fit for him because after beating Morales, because Morales is what, 10?
Yeah. Morales.
And then he'll probably drop under that, maybe 9 or 8. So yeah, Dominic Cruz will be a good fit for Dong right the next fight. And depending on if he wins, that will just catapult his career even further. Even if he loses to Dominic Cruz, I think he'll still be okay. I think he'll just go back maybe a slot or 2, maybe to 10 or whatever. I don't see anything wrong with him fighting Dominic Cruz. Even if he loses, I don't think it's going to ruin him at all. I think it's going to be just a learning curve for himself.
And I mean, I think he's still ratherly young. I think he's still.
Yeah.
So if he takes the loss, and gets a step back, I think. But
All right.
no, he seems pretty dominant. I mean,
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll have to see, what happens with his career, in the next coming weeks, and what the UFC wants to do with him.
And to be honest, too, like I wish I would have saw more of that fight. But Morales, man, it just looks like he has like a weak chin.
He has a weak,
man, and because he got dropped in a minute, and I think he only tagged him like, I guess like a three piece. Hit him once, then 2 short uppercuts, and he just. So could have been too early, so we can really find out what Dong really has, or is Dong really that good that he's really precise with his shot?
Yeah. And it's not to take anything away from Song Yadong, but yeah, I think Marlon Moraes' chin has been exposed, and everybody's finding a home for it, man. Everybody's finding a home for that punch right on the chin. That uppercut, vicious. I mean,
it was a short, quick one too. It wasn't like wound up like Logano did to Overeem or anything, but it was like a short, quick one, and then he just went backwards and just ended his night.
So yeah, I mean that there goes that fight. We'll have to see. So Alex Pereira, I was talking about sleep on this fight. Don't sleep on this fight. Don't sleep. Many people did sleep on this fight because it wasn't. I mean, it was a classic Brazilian fight. Let's be real. We knew going into this. I knew going into this that Bruno Silva was no fucking joke. And Bruno Silva was not going to just fold under Alex Pereira's pressure. And Alex Pereira went into this fight with a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation. He wants to climb these rankings. I mean,
quick too. He wants to climb these ladders real quick to get to Sonya bad. He wants them.
So he called out Jarrett Cannonier in his post-fight interview. I mean, it's a way to really catapult him up to the division. I mean, Jarrett Cannonier is sitting number 2, and if that's a way you want to get to Israel Adesanya quicker, that's the way to do it.
100%. You beat him and you win in a good fashion, or even just win. Just to say he just wins. Adesanya is almost guaranteeing to fight you. You have almost no choice to fight him.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to do things. I mean, but to be real, in my opinion, Alex Pereira, I mean, as he gets up into the division, you know, there is the Marvin Vittori, there is the Paulo Acosta. These dudes are freaking jacked. You know, they have
Yeah.
a lot of muscle mass on them. And I mean, and that's if he doesn't get a Jarrett Cannonier, because I think Jarrett Cannonier, in my opinion, is next for the title shot. I mean, all the
Mm-hmm.
top contenders have already lost to Israel Adesanya.
Yeah.
So I think Jarrett Cannonier is next in line for that title shot. I don't think.
That's why I think Pereira did a strategic call out because he knows he's next. So if he has to fight him, then that would just mean Alex would fight Garrett and just go springboard himself into a contention with Asanya.
Yeah,
It was a strategic move. It was a strategic move and a strategic call out to call him out, saying, "Hey, I know you're probably gonna be next for Asanya. I want to fight you before Asanya and make it a title contention fight. So if I beat you, I get Asanya." I think that is the move.
and I think Adesanya don't want that smoke, man. I
I
don't.
don't either.
I
I
don't.
don't either.
I mean, even like going into this, I knew, you know, Alex Pereira was, you know, a kickboxer, so I didn't know how much takedown defense he really had, and it kind
Mm-hmm.
of showed, like, you know, he did stop a lot of Bruno Silva's takedown attempts yesterday. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
very impressive, you know, and he's he pulled a victory out of somebody who was also a prospect in the middleweight division. You know,
Yep.
Bruno Silva was 3-0, you know, and he had previously finished all three of his opponents. So I mean, it's a significant way to climb the ladder, and I do think, you know, if he really wants to make a name in that division, you know, I think he ain't going to get Jarrett Cannonier. I think he'll get a Paulo Costa, or I think he'll get a Marvin Vittori. You know, they both lost to Israel Adesanya. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a way to really catapult yourself up, you know. And like you said, once he gets too close into the division in the top three, Israel Adesanya is not going to be able to deny him that rightful title shot. So,
Yeah, I think Alex maybe has maybe two fights he needs to complete before he gets Asanya. Unless there's a way he could fight Couture and get a title shot right away. But I could see him fighting maybe a Forrest Whitaker before Asanya, a Tory, or Apollo da Costa. I think there's a big mix of fighters he can fight before Asanya.
yeah. So, I mean, we'll have to see where they take him in this division. I mean, I'm on the, you know, I'm paying attention to him as he progresses in
Mm-hmm.
the UFC, and I want to see him. I want to see that fight. I want to see it in MMA.
Oh, for sure,
Like,
for sure.
we seen it in kickboxing twice. You know, I want to see how advanced Alex Pereira can get when he gets to that title shot. Is if Israel Adesanya is even the champion anymore? Who knows? I mean, you know,
Yeah,
Jarrett Cannonier is another power puncher that Israel Adesanya is going to have to deal with. Jarrett Cannonier has significant power in this middleweight
mm-hmm.
division, you know, and he's knocking fools out. So I mean, and,
I think too. What it is too is I think the UFC wants Alex to fight Asanya because of his history, and that's a good build up. Saying, "Oh, Asanya lost twice to this guy. Do you want to see this fight? Yeah, I want to see Asanya lose." Blah blah blah. I think that's the fight to make, but they have to build it up properly. Like Alex has to go on main cards. He starts has to go on pay per views. He needs to win, and then he can build it up properly. Because they did the same thing with DC. Didn't they have one guy come out from his camp who beat up DC consistently in training camp, go to UFC and he gets worked. They've been no build up. They had no nothing. It was terrible planning, terrible. It was just awful. So in Alex, I think they learned from that mistake with the DC fight versus I think his name was Smith. I don't think it was Anthony Smith. I think it was something. It might have been Anthony Smith. It was something Smith. He went out there from training camp. Said, "Oh, I beat him up all the time in training camp, made him cry, all this other stuff." He got worked in the UFC. Did they learn from that mistake? And Alex is going to have a build up now and playing it all what they're doing now. They're taking their time, not saying, "Oh, go fight Adesanya. You beat him kickboxing twice. You beat him convincingly." I think they're building them up nicely. Hey, fight this guy. Hey, fight this guy. Oh, now you can start moving. Now you can start moving up. You fight this guy. Fight that guy. And I think what you said earlier was a perfect example. He needs to fight the Costa, maybe Vittori, maybe Forrest Whitaker. And if he wins them and it's just convincingly, then I think it's hard to deny him to have Asanya in the next few fights.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see where that goes. You know, I'm interested. I'm on the ride. You got me. You know, I want to see that fight already. You know, they don't even need a
build. Oh, I
build.
do too.
They don't even need a build up. So I mean, it's interesting.
But
So
how would you feel? Hold on. But how would you feel though? Like they did build it up the nicer way, where you start seeing Alex on pay-per-views and he's just knocking people out, and then he keeps calling out Asanya, "I'm coming for you," right? And then you just see the next like headline: Asanya versus UFC 290 or whatever. I don't know. They're like, I'm just giving you an example. But like 290, you be psyched. You like, holy shit, they're finally gonna fight each other. Oh my god! I think that's where they need it to hype it up. Like, oh, he's coming. He's moving up the ranks to get Asanya. He keeps saying, "I'm gonna fight Asanya." I think that's where it is.
I would be sold on that. Like if he's going around knocking out a Marvin Vittori, like he's got a lot of fighters to, you know, beat up before he's in that title talk, in my opinion. I mean, he does have a lot of hype around him, you know, I will.
Mm-hmm.
But there is like Darren Hill, there's Uriah Hall, there's even Sean Strickland, who's a great fighter as well. You've got Derek Brunson in the mix. If he's going around knocking out these fools and then he gets up and goes into the top 5, beats Paul Acosta viciously, you know, vicious,
Mm-hmm.
beats Marvin Vittori viciously, like without any kind of claim that there was any controversy. If he's just going dominating these guys, then I mean you can build up that fight slowly. You know, do not derail his hype train, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I mean, he's got a lot of people to get in front of before this happens. I mean, I don't know what chances he stands against these top ranked guys. These guys are no joke, you know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Holocaust is no joke. I mean, they're extremely jacked fighters. You know, they got a lot of muscle,
Yeah,
and they can punch him out. You know, they can knock him out with one punch. But
I agree.
I don't know. I think I see high hopes for this dude. I really do. I mean, you know, it's awesome for them for him to take his kickboxing career, take it to the sidelines, try something different, and he's been
Mm-hmm.
so far. So, I mean, that's where it is. I mean, but you know, overall, this was a lackluster, you know, card. You know, there was good finishes, but you know, we
Yeah,
will.
the biggest comeback of the night was Drew Dober coming against McKinley.
Yeah, yeah.
Drew
So
Dober, man, he survived, man. That man was surviving. He was getting worked all fight, and he survived. And then McKinley gassed out. It showed he gassed out, and Drew Dober took advantage of that. That's why he's experienced. Experienced fighter will always beat the new guy, in my opinion.
so the most significant strike or from that fight that I took, and I was like, holy crap, was when he had him on the ground against the cage, and it was towards the end of the fight, basically, and he threw that leg kick while you know Terrence McKinney was on the ground. And it's so hard to capitalize on that without that being an illegal strike. So all he has to,
That was close. That
yeah,
was close.
but
Like his hand left the mat just in time. Like if his hand was still on the mat and his head kick was coming, that's the DQ. That's a DQ.
well, he
But his
was.
hand left the mat like in like a tenth of a second, like perfect timing. Like it was just crazy. I was like, whoa, that was close.
And he
Yeah,
said
that was.
for that. He said he was looking for that. You know, he's looking for a way to throw like significant punches or leg kicks that are legal, and he capitalized on it. It was impressive, and
Mm-hmm.
finished Terrence McKinney, who I thought, look, Drew Dober's fought some of the best, or in my opinion,
Yeah.
the ones that are ranked a lot higher.
Right.
And it's a really hard hill to climb in the lightweight division.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, too many stacked fighters. Yeah, I agree.
it's hard as shit. I mean, even for Terrence McKinney, I mean, we knew going as he was going to climb these ranks, he was going to fight a Drew Dober. I mean, he was going to fight, a lot of fighters, possibly, who knows, Conor McGregor, hypothetically, or, a Tony Ferguson or Dan.
Mm.
Like, there's all these fighters that this division's stacked. It's, in my opinion, one of the most stacked divisions in UFC. And the
100%.
hardest hill to climb. So I don't know
Mm.
where Dober goes from this. I mean, he lost to Islam Makhachev. He's had some wins. He's had some losses.
Mm.
He was definitely the more experienced fighter last night, and we knew this going into this, that it could be like this. Sometimes the experienced fighter refuses to lay down and just take that L, and
But that's the thing is like Drew Dober showed heart. Like he should have, man, he should have lost. Drew Dober should have lost. McKinley messed up. He had him.
yeah, and
He had him.
he wore out. Who knows? I mean, but yeah, there was a lot of significant fights from this card, and that's just, we look forward to the next main event, next weekend. It's back in action. We got Paddy Pimblett on the freaking card. I mean,
Patty the Batty Pimblett.
Paddy the Batty Pimblett comes back in action, to, hopefully get a rise in the UFC. And I mean, I don't even know who the guy he's facing. He's not a significant fighter, but
No.
way to climb the ranks, So, but that has it for Combat Misfit today. You got
Yeah.
any ending thoughts?
No, man. I do appreciate everyone who chimes in and watches the show and everything, man. It goes a long way. We appreciate every feedback or any kind of viewage you guys give us. It don't care about what everybody might say or anything, but like we just like to make a good show and make everybody happy.
Exactly. My thought. I agree with you. For Chris, for myself, have a good day. We'll see you Wednesday, 6 p.m. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and follow Deborah Sports. The plugs will be at the end of the show. Have a good day, everybody.
Have a
Peace
good
out.
one, guys.